Jagannath Swami Nana Patagami Bhavakume Sadanta sahaja bala bhadrena balina Subhadra majastha sakala sura seva vasarga Subhadra majastha Jagannath Swami Nana Patagami Bhavakume Jagannath Swami Nana Patagami Kripa Paravara Sadhana Janava Shreni Ruchiro Ramavani Rama Spurada Mana Panke Ruhamukha Surendra Raja Shruti Ganashikha Gita Charito Surendra Raja Shruti Jagannath Swami Nana Patagami Bhavakume Jagannath Swami Nana Patagami Ratharudo Gacchan Pati Milita Bhudeva Patalaya Pradurбhavam Pratipadamupakaya Sada Daya Sindhur Bandhu Sakala Jagatam Sindhu Sutaya Daya Sindhur Jagannath Swami Nana Patagami Bhavakume Jagannath Swami Nana Patagami Param Brahma Pira Kuvalaya Dalokshuna Nayano Drauni Hita Charanonanta Shirasi Rasanandira Dasa Rasa Babura Sukha Nava sada kale kale Jagannath Swami Nayana Padagam Bhavatu Haratam samsaram Drutataram surapate Haratam papanam vitatim aparam yadavapate Aho dinanathe nihita charano nishchitamidam Aho dinanathe nihita charano nishchitamidam Jagannath Swami Nayana Padagam Bhavatu Jagannath Swami Nayana Padagam Bhavatu Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maya ki Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Śrī Caitanya-Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Samadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. You can repeat this shloka after me. That is the pranam mantra of Jagannath ji. Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Namaha. It says Nilachala Nivasaya. So you see in Jagannath Puri, the place where the Lord resides eternally is Nilachala Hill. There is a very special story of King Indradyumna. How many of you have heard about this story of how Lord Jagannath appears? Very few of us. Who would like to hear? Would you like to hear? Very nice. Thank you. So that gives some inspiration. So let us try to recite the story of Lord Jagannath. So there was this King Indradyumna in Satyuga who had a dream of one deity, Madhav, four-handed Lord Vishnu. He saw this dream in his, he saw this in his mind. And he developed a desire to worship this form of the Lord. But he didn't know where this form exists. Ye deity kidhar hai, malum nahi. So he sent all his soldiers, he sent his ministers to go and search. A primary minister who was very entrusted, he sent him to find out. Vidyapati, his name was Vidyapati. He told Vidyapati, go towards the eastern side. Vidyapati went towards the eastern coast and he found that at this place called Nilachala Hill, there is a possibility that this special deity of Madhava, four-handed Vishnu with a color of bluish sapphire, he will find there. So Vidyapati reaches there and there he finds out that there is a Shabara tribe. So the head man of the tribe, only he knows where this deity is. So taking help of this head of the tribe, his name was Vishwavasu. With the help of Vishwavasu, Vidyapati reaches the spot where he sees the very beautiful darshan of Nilamadhava. So the Lord's darshan is such that if we surrender ourselves and if we heartfully we accept the Lord as our friend, and if we pour out, whatever we are feeling, whatever we are thinking, even our desires, the Lord takes away all the anxiety and stress. How many of you have experienced at least once in your life something like this? It happens. So this is very special because the Lord is personally present. When Vidyapati saw Nilamadhava, he was so inspired, spiritually inspired. He resolved that I will bring King Indradyumna back from his palace to here. He goes back to King Indradyumna's palace and he narrates about the beauty of Nilamadhava. King Indradyumna feels inspired and he marches along with the entire army to Nilachala Kshetra. Upon reaching there, Vidyapati takes King Indradyumna on top of the hill. And there, as soon as he is about to go near Nilamadhava deity, and the king who has been awaiting this darshan since a very long time, he is so eager. As soon as he comes near, he sees there is no deity there. The deity has disappeared. So the king is very upset. He feels that his life is wasted. He was such a great devotee, he felt that my kingdom, whatever possessions I have are of no use if I cannot take darshan of Nilamadhava. This is how the king was thinking. So the Lord, through Akashvani, the Lord announced, saying that, my dear king, I will come in a very special form and you can worship me. So the king became very inspired. He had a dream wherein he was informed by the Lord that there will be 3 logs of wood that will reach the shore. And he should get a particular carpenter who will also approach him to carve the form of the Lord from these 3 logs of wood. Now as this dream came, it actually happened that along the beach, along the shore of the ocean, 3 logs of wood came there. And they were taken by the king and his army. And also there, the carpenter also came. The carpenter's name was Ananta Maharana. Some say that this carpenter was none other than the celestial architect of the demigods. His name is Vishwakarma. So the king asked the sculptor, so you are going to make this deity. What do you need from my side? The sculptor said, my condition is that for 21 days, nobody should interrupt me. I will work in closed doors. If anybody interrupts me before this duration, I will stop the work. So the king provided and he made all the arrangements. And the sculptor, this architect, he started working on the deity form. Now when you carve a deity from wood, so by chipping of wood, the sound it creates, tuck, 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 like that, sound it creates. That sound was, the king was hearing. And the king knew that the work was going on behind closed doors. Now this king was very eager to see that the deity form is completed, so that he gets the darshan of his beloved form, beloved Lord. But what happened is, 2 weeks passed by. Tuck, 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 sound is coming every day. But after 2 weeks, suddenly the sound stopped. No sound coming. So the king began thinking, has he finished his work? Or has he gone somewhere else? And he was so much in anxiety, so much anxious, that he was not able to be peaceful at all. Working against his intelligence, he opened the doors, only to see the unfinished forms of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, these deities whom we see today. He saw this and he felt his life is useless. He felt disaster. He felt that whatever I wanted, that I could not achieve. Hua hi nahi, jo chahiye wo. Again he was so depressed, he thought, let me commit suicide. But the Lord, again, through Akashvani, he informs King Indradyumna, that this is my eternal Daru Brahma form, my eternal form in the form of wood, wherein I give benedictions freely to my devotees as Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra. And I will come here especially being very potent in Kali Yuga, wherein I will distribute mercy to one and all. When the Lord is mentioning in this way to King Indradyumna, King Indradyumna had the special fortune, good fortune of having the dream of the Lord multiple times. Direct Akashvani, wherein the Lord speaks to him. King Indradyumna prayed to the Lord, my dear Lord, I will worship here. I will make a very beautiful temple for you here on this spot. But my one condition is that may your darshan be closed only for 3 hours in the night. May you keep giving darshan to your devotees. May you keep being merciful to your devotees. And may your hands never become dry from eating bhoga. May you always keep eating prasad. And needless to say, if you go to Jagannath Puri, everywhere you go in any other temples, north se lekar south mein sabka time hota hai. But if you go to Puri, then it actually functions as if there is no clock. Whenever the Lord wants, band hota hai, but jab chahiye tab khulta hai. No rules, no regulations, complete spontaneous. And continuous offerings go on, continuous offerings. यहाँ तक कि you feel that अभी तो बाहर निकला, वापस आ गया. Continuous offerings are on. Lord is Chappan Bhog, famous. So that is Jagannath. This is the Lord who eats and he feeds. Nobody goes hungry in Jagannath Puri. It is interesting, why are we discussing about Puri here sitting in Mayapur? Because this place Rajapur is not different from Jagannath Puri. Would you like to know how? Yes. So it so happens that 500 years ago, these deities, they happen to arrive here. But there is a history which starts from 7th century. Before we go into the history of how these deities have arrived here and how this place is non-different from Jagannath Puri, it is also important to discuss about how these forms of Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra, how did they manifest? So in Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna Balaram were personally present on the planet, they resided in their capital city in Dwarka. Now Krishna being the king or Dwarkadhish, he had 16,108 wives and he had 16,108 palaces for each one of them. And he used to expand and be present in all the 16,108 palaces simultaneously. Interestingly, all his wives, they used to complain that how come sometimes middle of the night, Krishna wakes up and he says, Gopi, he shouts Radhe, he shouts Lalita, he shouts Vishakha, Vrindavan, in this way. Suddenly he will wake up and he will shout like this. So they were thinking, everything the Lord has here. He has so much opulence, huge palaces. You know, the description is mentioned in the Bhagavatam that in each of Krishna's palaces, they did not need electricity because the rubies, emeralds, sapphires, diamonds used to be studded on the walls and they used to reflect so much of light that it used to be automatically illuminated. So much bright it was. Everything he had. And such a huge family. Through each of his wives, he had 10 sons. And then more children through them. So many. So he did not have the dearth of anything. So how come he is thinking of somebody else now? His wives were in confusion. What does he have that is lacking? So they all discussed amongst each other that something happened when he was in Vrindavan, which is so special and dear to him, that despite having everything in Dwarka, he is not satisfied. He is not happy here. Something is always longing in him to go there, to experience there. What is it? So they all began discussing among themselves and they concluded that if there is anyone in Dwarka who knows what Krishna did when he was in Vrindavan is only Ma Rohini. Mother Rohini, who is Balramji's mother, was a witness to all the Braj Leela, whatever happened in Vrindavan, and she was present in Dwarka also. She was the only one. Because Krishna grew up in Vrindavan under the foster care of Ma Yashoda and Nanda Baba. So Ma Rohini was sent by Vasudev. Rohini is one of Vasudev's wives. And she was sent by Vasudev under the protection of Maharaj Nanda and kept in his house. So she was staying with Ma Yashoda like that. And that's how Krishna Balram grew up, under the care of Rohini and Yashoda. So Rohini knew. So then all of them approached Ma Rohini that please tell us, what was so special that happened so many years back that Krishna still cannot forget? So Ma Rohini said, I will tell you all the stories of Vrindavan, all the special stories of Vrindavan I will tell you, but there is condition, and the condition is that Krishna Balram should not hear. If they hear, they will get so attracted by those pastimes, they will leave Dwarka and run away to Vrindavan. You want that? They said no. So they shut the doors and put Subhadra Devi as the guard. They kept her as the doorkeeper. So now this katha began. This story began. Ma Rohini is now starting to speak very nice and beautiful pastimes of how Lord Krishna grew up in Vrindavan, how he killed so many demons, Putana, Trinavarta, Aghasur, Bakasur, so many demons Krishna killed. And how he was having so many beautiful pastimes with as Makhanchor, and then with the cowherd damsels of Braj. She is describing all these pastimes. They are very sweet. And you can hear them and read them from Krishna book. Srila Prabhupada, the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, he has given us in the form of Krishna book. Prabhupada said everybody should read Krishna book. He said if you read about Krishna and sleep in the night, you will get dreams of Krishna. So Prabhupada actually in ISKCON, he made it like a, it was a recommended thing, and everybody in the early days used to follow that reading Krishna book with hot milk in the night before sleeping. So that is something special you can try. And then let us know if Krishna comes in your dream. This Krishna is such, the personality, now in Adhik Mas is coming, Purushottam Mas is coming, just 18th it will start, a few days. And then here in ISKCON Mayapur we sing one song, one bhajan we sing, Chaurashtakam. That means it glorifies Krishna as being the best of thieves. अगर कोई चोर है जिसका कोई मुकाबला नहीं किया जा सकता है, वो है कृष्ण. ब्रजे प्रसीदं नवनीत चौरम गोपंगनानां चदुकुल चौरम अनेक जन्मार्जित पाप चौरम चौरारगण्यम पुरुषम नमामि. So Krishna, he steals mountains of sins that we have committed in past lives, which we are accountable for. In the world today, anywhere you go, if some authority is there, हमारा boss है, गलत काम हमने किया है, and अगर वो हमें माफ कर देता है, so how humble we become. Thank you. We become very grateful. I didn't deserve this, but आपने माफ कर दिया. So Krishna, he just by chanting his names and surrendering to him, he finishes off mountains and heaps of sins. Liberates one from the cycle of birth and death. कर्म का cycle से छुटकारा भगवान कर देते हैं. Very special. Nobody else can do. No other Devi Devta, not even our parents can help us in this regard. Nobody can help us. Only the Supreme Lord, and through his agent, Shri Guru. And they come, and that Guru comes in our lives based on how sincere we are. When we are sincere, Krishna sends some association. He sends some devotees who are going to lead you back to him. It's as simple as that. Spiritual life is not by chance. It happens based on our desire. If we want to be cheated, we are guided to those who will cheat us. If we want sincerely, if we want to advance in spiritual life, Krishna sends those who will help us advance in spiritual life. So Krishna is the greatest thief. So and you can see, because not only does he take sins away, he used to take makhan away also. Very beautiful pastimes of him stealing butter in Vrindavan. Ma Yashoda used to think, what is wrong? We have 9 lakh cows. And this fellow goes and steals outside. Makhan chor. Another thing that Krishna stole was the clothes of the gopis. There is a place in Vrindavan called Chirghat. We go every year to Vrindavan also, you can join us there. Chirghat, that is the place where Krishna stole the clothes of the gopis. Steal. And you know the biggest thing that Krishna steals? He steals the hearts of his devotees and runs away. And you have no option but to go behind him. So that is how he is, big thief. So this whole song just talks about how Krishna is the biggest thief. What sweetness, isn't it? So sweet. So that is how the Lord is. He is so intelligent, so clever. In the Gita he says that biggest cheater. I'm cheater among the cheats. Sometimes we think we can cheat the Lord. Everybody thinks they can cheat. Right? कोई देख नहीं रहा होता है तब हम लगे होते हैं whatever we want to do. We think that nobody will see us. But what happens, we think we are cheating Krishna, but Krishna will cheat us in a way that he will cheat us and will not even come to know that we have been cheated. ऐसा रहता है. So therefore, the most logical, rational and easy procedure is to surrender to him. So all these very special pastimes were being described by Ma Rohini to all the wives of Krishna, 16,108 wives. So they are listening in the hall. Who is there guarding? Lady Subhadra is there guarding. But she is also listening. Through the little gap that comes out through the door, she is also listening to the Katha. Nobody can not be attracted to Krishna Katha. It is so sweet. And there, right there comes Krishna and Balaram. Also, on the spot. They reached there. And although they were not allowed to go inside, the sound system there was working nicely. So outside they also could hear what Katha was being discussed by Ma Rohini inside. When they heard this Katha, they felt so ecstatic. They felt so happy. Now when one is happy, there are some symptoms that you can see. One is that his eyes become big. And sometimes there are goosebumps, hair stand on end. In the same way, the Lord, his eyes became very big. In fact, his body also shrunk. Hands and legs went inside. And that happened to Krishna, it happened to Balaram, and it happened to Subhadra Devi. And these are the forms of Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra that appeared there outside the Dwarka assembly hall. And there reached Narad Muni. And he clicked a selfie with the Lord. And he said, my dear Lord, I have seen this form of yours, so beautiful form. My desire is, please give this darshan to all the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. Please do this. So the Lord said, yes, so be it. I will. I will come in Kali Yuga and my holy dham will be the most potent in Kali Yuga. Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta dham. And I'll give out my mercy very freely. Who is Jagannath? Jagannath is that Krishna who is remembering his devotees and he is very, very happy. So he is that same Krishna, but he is very merciful. You see, whenever somebody is very happy, that time they give things that maybe they may not give when they are in normal mood. Just like, all of us must have had the experience that whenever you wanted to go to your father for something in childhood, or now also when you go to your boss, first you check mood kaisa hai. And then only you go and ask for something. So this Jagannath is in happiest mood and he remains like that. He is so merciful that he comes out. The devotees don't go to see him. He comes out of the temple on Rath Yatra and he goes to take darshan of his devotees. That is Jagannath. So merciful. So the same Jagannath, same Krishna, he appears as Jagannath. And the same Jagannath came here from Jagannath Puri. How? In the 7th century, there was a demoniac king named Raktabahu. Raktabahu, he was famous for breaking down temples, desecrating deities, harassing devotees, Muslim king that time. And he laid siege on Odisha in Puri. Puri used to be the capital at that time. So he laid siege there, Akraman kiya. Now, as he was attacking and he was coming towards, all the devotees were very afraid. All the pujaris were very afraid of Jagannath. And they went to Jagannath and prayed to him, my dear Lord, everything is happening by your control and your will. But we don't want to be in this situation wherein we see that your temple is desecrated and that your deity form is broken. We don't want to see something like this. The Lord comes in the dream of the head pujari and tells him, don't worry. He says that all these are my pastimes when I shift from one place to another. But for my devotees, I am ready to do anything. So overnight on a cart you take me. Take me on the route towards Bengal. And I will tell you and inspire you where to stop. So overnight, the pujari in whose dream Jagannath came and informed him, he went and told everybody. And all the devotees, they came to help Jagannath, to help this whole procession. In Puri also, there are different devotees who have different services. Brahmanas perform puja. So there is also a group of devotees called the Shabara tribe. And the Shabaras, they are not within the Varnashram, they are actually tribals. But they do this service of carrying Lord Jagannath. So they took Lord Jagannath, and Lord Jagannath had already mentioned, take me through the jungle route so that Rakta Bahu doesn't find me. So they travelled overnight and they travelled and came towards this place. And when they halted here, Lord Jagannath came in the dream of the pujaris and he told them that this is the place where I would like to reside. That is how Lord Jagannath came to be here. But this was in 7th century, a very, very long time ago. But in due course of time, the worship stopped and the temple was covered. And Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, although residing here, there was no worship. Until 500 years ago, again, there was a devotee during Lord Jagannath's time who also had a dream, Jagdish Ganguly. He had a dream, he was such a great devotee of Lord Jagannath, every year from Bengal, from here towards Puri, he used to go walking. He used to do the whole journey with Mahaprabhu, because Mahaprabhu's whole entourage, they used to go from Bengal, from here, from Navadvip, they used to go towards Puri every year. He used to go with them. Until he became very old and for him it was difficult. But he was feeling that what is the use of my life? More so, he became blind. He lost his eyesight also. Became old and blind. And he could not take darshan of Lord Jagannath, could not travel to Puri. The Lord comes in his dream and tells him that do not worry. I will come and as 3 logs of wood washed on the shore of the Ganges. In the nearby village, there is a carpenter who has leprosy. Go to him and ask him to carve my form. In the beginning, he will resist. But if you persist, he will carve. That is my order. So Jagdish became very, very inspired. And next day he saw and he was able to feel that these 3 logs of wood have come. He took them, went to the nearby village, found the carpenter, requested him. The carpenter had so much leprosy that his hands had literally become stumps, not able to do anything. But Jagdish persisted. In fact, he said that the Lord has promised me that if you carve his form, your leprosy will go away. The carpenter thought, how is this possible? But because he persisted so much, he started carving. And as soon as Jagannath's form was finished, his leprosy vanished. And then he also carved the forms of Baladev and Subhadra Devi. And the worship continued for a few generations until again it stopped and it was lost. Until in 1950s, there was Phatik Chatterjee who owned this land. And there were many indications by which he came to know that Lord Jagannath is residing here. This whole area was a forest area. many local villagers, when they used to pass by, they used to hear sounds. One such villager, he heard sound, he thought it's a ghost. And then he went and complained to Phatik Chatterjee that something is residing inside your property. Jungle mein dekho kya hai. Phatik Chatterjee comes along with his sons and he clears the area and he sees that the deities of Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra residing here. And they continue the puja. And when, as Phatik Chatterjee was growing old, he got inspiration that he should give the land, the property and the deities to ISKCON. And so he made a proposal for ISKCON to take the land. And then ISKCON took over this land and then after that developed this into Jagannath temple, which is an extension of Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir. So this property also belongs to ISKCON and it is developed in the same way by devotees who have come and donated and in some way or the other contributed towards the development of this beautiful premises. So this is the short story of how Lord Jagannath ji, he appeared here. There are some very special pastimes of Lord here, which I'll share with you of the lordships who are present here. So what happened was that when the document was being signed of the property which had to be transferred in ISKCON's name, so the Pujari had actually, before the actual signatures finished, the Pujari had already started coming from ISKCON Mayapur to here and offering bhoga to the deities. Already he had started offering. Now the managers, they came to know that still the property is not registered. So the Pujaris asked them, should we start offering? So managers said, no, don't start offering. But they didn't know that the Pujaris have already started offering. So then the Pujari got confused and he stopped offering. So that night, Jagannath came into his dream. And he saw that Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra are running towards Mayapur direction from here. So the Pujari is calling them, wait, where are you going? So Jagannath ji says, I am going to ISKCON Mayapur. The Pujari says, why? He says, because they give good prasadam there. When the Pujari narrated this dream to the managers, they said, we didn't know that you have already started making the offerings, otherwise we would never have asked to stop. And then they continued making the offerings regularly. Phatik Chatterjee also had many pastimes here. He had 7 daughters and this whole is Muslim village. So he wanted to protect them. So he shifted from this place. To his surprise, after a while, some of the Muslims, they came to his place and they asked him, come back again here, please. He said, why? Why should I come back? They said, because we keep hearing sounds from here. They say, no one is feeding us. No one is feeding us. So please come back and continue your worship. So like this, there were so many pastimes even with Phatik Chatterjee. When he was having a marriage of his daughter, that time some thieves had come, because wherever there is marriage, there is some gold also. They came to steal the gold. Phatik Chatterjee was seeing them, observing them. After a while, they went away. So he was surprised. In the middle of the night, these thieves came to his house. And he said, I cannot open the door. They said, no, open please, we need to talk to you. So he said, okay, what happened? He said, actually we had come to steal. We came to steal gold in the marriage. But when we came near you, there was a big light that was hovering on top of your head. And seeing that light, wherever you were going, that light was also coming. And we know that you are worshipping Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. Surely the Lord is casting His special mercy and glance on you. So we did not want to take the risk. That is why we went away. After this property came to ISKCON, also there were many pastimes by which Lord Jagannath proved that, it was proved and the devotees could feel the presence that the Lord is personally there. One time there was one Toto wala who had come, rickshaw wala who had come, he took some prasad and he gave it to a local Muslim person. And when he told this is prasad, so he just, that Muslim said, I do not eat food that is offered to idols. And he just threw the pot. He offended prasad. Then he came back the next day here. He came back to the temple the next day. He didn't come to the temple before that. He came here specially and he asked for Mahaprasad. So everybody asked him, why? Pujaris asked him, why you want Mahaprasad? He said, because yesterday, after I threw away the prasad, in the night, this white deity, he came in my dream and he was strangling my throat, saying that my brother is so merciful, he is delivering you just by food and you have the guts to throw it away. And he was strangling me. So I told him sorry, and I told him next day I will come and honor the Mahaprasad. So I have come, please give me Mahaprasad. One time there was a small child who had come and he wanted to take Subhadra Devi's brooch. So he went inside the altar, nobody was watching, he went inside the altar. Suddenly he came out and crying. So they asked him, why are you crying? He said, I went to steal Subhadra Devi's brooch, Baldev gave me one tight slap and I came tumbling out. There was one English devotee who stayed here, Gaur Hari Prabhu. See, after Snan Yatra, you saw the Snan Mandap here, there is a platform here. So when there is Snan Yatra time, the Lord comes out and then Abhishek happens. And whenever, this is this is how the tradition is, that after Snan Yatra, Lord Jagannath falls sick. So for 2 weeks then he doesn't come out, give darshan. So now he falls sick. Even the food that he eats is also food for recovery. Kadha lete hai, like that, So what happened was, sometimes we feel, oh, Lord is sick, how can he be sick? So this is, darshan is also closed. So this devotee had come here to do some service. And then he was thinking like this, Lord is sick, how is he sick? Let me take some darshan, something. The curtain was closed. He just saw a little crack, he took darshan and then he came out and he was moving ahead. Then as he was walking ahead, from behind he heard, Achu! Then he saw everywhere. Nobody else is there. Then he understood that who is sick actually. Lord is sick, he has a cold. So they had Giriraj ji came. Giriraj Shila is there. And when Giriraj ji came, that time the deities came, Jagannath ji came in the dream of the Pujari and told him that this Giriraj is very greedy. Whatever you offer us, he eats. Give us separate plate. So from then they started offering 2 plates. One for Giriraj separate, one for Jagannath ji separate. So like that, there are many pastimes that are there of the Lord. Also just to mention that this place that we are currently sitting in Navadvip, the 9 islands, this place is called Simantadvip. Simantadvip after Simantini Devi. Simantini Devi is none other than Goddess Parvati. So you all went to the temple behind? So how does this pastime occur? Is that Parvati Devi, when she saw Lord Shiva dancing and chanting Gauranga, 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 she asked him, why are you dancing and what is this Gauranga you are chanting? So Lord Shiva explains that I am chanting the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has appeared in Kali Yuga in the most merciful form as Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta. Anybody who takes this name Gauranga will feel love of Krishna come in his heart. Jai Gauranger Namaloy, Tara Hoy, Premodoy. Anybody who chants Gauranga, say Gauranga. Gauranga! You get love of God, love of Krishna. So Lord Shiva is explaining this to Parvati. And he is saying that when I am chanting Gauranga, I am feeling so much ecstasy that therefore I am dancing in this way. So Ma Parvati also became very inspired and she said, let me also perform some tapasya, some bhajan here. Lord Shiva came from Kashi. Kashi is his capital, he stays there. And from Banaras, from there he comes here and he's performing bhajan here in Navadvip. If you go, you all went to Yogapit?
Yes.
Yogapit also there is Kshetrapal Shiva, just behind the small hut where Jagannath Mishra, Sachimata and baby Nimai are there, just behind there. Lord Shiva is eternally residing here as Dham Rakshak. He always protects the holy Dham, gives permission to only those who are qualified to enter the holy Dham. So seeing Lord Shiva being inspired by his presence, Ma Parvati thought, let me also come. So she comes here and she is performing Gaur Bhajan, chanting the names of Gauranga. After a few days, Mahaprabhu appears to her and seeing the beautiful golden form of the Lord with curly locks of hair, lotus petal eyes. You saw the deity there is so beautiful. Of Gauranga also and of Ma Parvati also, amazing it looks. On seeing this wonderful darshan of the Supreme Lord, she took the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord and put it on the middle of her hair. You see, those who are married ladies, they put sindoor, they put kumkum here, right, in between, where the parting of the hair is. That part is called Simanta. So, Parvati's name, she put the dust of Lord Gauranga's lotus feet on the middle of her hair, on the partition, on her head. And from there, her name became Simantini Devi, and this island was known as Simanta Dweep. So that is the significance of this place. Lord Jagannath is so merciful. Would you like to hear one story of Lord Jagannath?
Yes.
Lord Jagannath in Puri, there was one devotee called Parmeshthi. Anybody heard about Parmeshthi story? He was a tailor of the Muslim king in Delhi. Once the king ordered Parmeshthi, make 2 beautiful pillows for me. And he provided him the material, which was beautiful silk. And the cotton which was provided was also outstanding. Not only that, special jewelry was supposed to be embroidered into the pillow. When Parmeshthi found all this, he said that how can a human being enjoy this kind of material? He was thinking that I want to do some seva for Lord Jagannath. Parmeshthi made the pillow, so with the material that he got. 2 pillows he got ready, which was what was expected. Now that was the time of Jagannath Rath Yatra. And before Rath Yatra, they have a Pahandi Utsav. Jagannath ji comes out. That whole festival, the pujaris, they take him out. And that is it's a whole procession in itself, whole event, big event. Thousands of devotees are there, they are dancing in a certain way, they are playing instruments and gongs in a certain way. And there are very, very strong, hefty pandas of Jagannath who carry him, who take him from the altar, and first they place him down and then they carry him like this. So when they have to place him just on the 2nd level of the altar, they required a pillow. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maiya ki jai. When this Pahandi Utsav was going on, now Parmeshthi, while praying to Lord Jagannath, he fell asleep. And he was actually able to see what is going on in Puri temple. He's seeing. When he was seeing that, he was able to see that how the pujaris are taking Lord Jagannath, they are taking him down. And they saw that in order to place him properly, they needed a pillow. You can't place the Lord directly on the floor, so they wanted a pillow. And in his dream, he was in this dream-like state. Parmeshthi took the pillow that he had made and he offered it to Lord Jagannath. He just gave it to the pujari there, who used it. And Jagannath ji came on that. And just seeing that how Jagannath used his pillow, Parmeshthi was in ecstasy, saying, my life is successful now. So Parmeshthi was so blissful. Suddenly he was awakened, because the kings of the Muslim king, the servants of the Muslim king had come to collect the pillows. They asked Parmeshthi, where are the pillows? He gave them one. They asked, where is the second one? He said, I will explain to your king. On the way, Parmeshthi was thinking, he was a little afraid. He was thinking that what will happen? Because the king is very merciless. He will think that I have taken it for myself. But anyways, who has made the king the king? It is Jagannath. He is the king of kings. If he wants, then he can make the king understand also, or he can reverse the whole situation. So let me surrender to him. Thinking like this, Parmeshti went to the court. There he presented to the king one pillow. King asked, where is the second pillow? He said, I offered it to Lord Jagannath. And he explained how he offered it during the Pahandi Vijay, which just happened some time back. The king was angry. He said, you are such a cheater. How is it possible that your God Jagannath, from Puri, he came to Delhi to collect your pillow? You expect me to believe this? So Parmeshti said that my Lord's hands and legs are everywhere. Actually, it is there mentioned in the Vedanta Sutra, Sarvata Pani Padam Tat. Krishna's hands and legs are everywhere. This is what even the Lord said when he appeared as Jagannath. He said, I want to prove to everyone that they say that the Vedas say my hands and legs are everywhere. Without feet he walks. It is mentioned, Vedanta Sutra says. Without hands, without feet, he moves. So how? So let everybody see that how as Jagannath, I am still moving everywhere. So Parmeshti started glorifying the Lord, saying that he is Jagannath, what is not possible for him? So the king ordered that Parmeshti be put into prison and be not given any food. Let him die out of fasting. So they took Parmeshti in the prison, put him in iron shackles and did not give him any food. Now Parmeshti was fully dependent on Lord Jagannath. He is crying to Lord Jagannath, Hey Patita Pavan, O Dinanath, I surrendered my life unto you. But you see this Muslim king, no problem. Even if he does not believe, my life is completely in your hands. Please save me. Please do whatever you want with me. Completely surrendering, whatever the Lord wants. Now the Lord, he cannot see his devotees in distress. He cannot see. The Lord goes from Puri, he goes to the king. Now it was already night. The king is having his dream. In the dream of the king, the Lord appears. And the Lord is taking a whip and beating the king. He says, what have you done? This is my great devotee, Parmeshti. And what are you punishing him for? For making a pillow. Your pillow, your bed, your entire kingdom is mine. Who do you think you are? Saying like this, again the Lord was whipping him, giving him. Then he said, if you do not take Parmeshti immediately out of prison, make him your royal guru, give him maintenance for his entire life, you and your family will be destroyed. And again started whipping him. The king woke up thinking it was a nightmare. He thought it is over. But then he saw the marks on his back. Then he realized this all actually happened. The king immediately rushed to the prison. Personally, he went to Parmeshti. Parmeshti looked so effulgent. Parmeshti had received the blessings of Lord Jagannath. He looked so effulgent, and even the iron shackles from his hands and feet had been removed. He was not able to see. He came to remove the shackles are not there. King surprised. The king personally took Parmeshti, washed his feet, so many times offered obeisances to Parmeshti. The king made Parmeshti sit on an elephant, made him wear a turban on his head, and he paraded him all around the city, pronouncing him as the royal guru of the family. And he told Parmeshti, I have made such a big mistake. The Supreme Lord himself came to instruct about your glorious position. You become my family guru and deliver my family. And in this way, then he gave Parmeshti not only a house to stay, he maintained him and his family. And he also, the king, became a devotee of Lord Jagannath. Śrī Jagannath Swami ki. So this is how the Lord is so supremely merciful. The more we pray to him, the more we surrender to him, you see the desires are fulfilled instantaneously. That is the Lord. He fulfills desires. So spiritual life is such that if we just perform devotional service, the power of devotional service, the power of bhakti is so much. Not only can it fulfill all our desires, but it gives us the ultimate destination. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Akama sarvo kamo va moksha kama udaradi. If you have no material desires, or if you have all the material desires, if you are desiring liberation, whatever you are desiring, if you just surrender to the Lord, perform intense bhakti, you will find that everything in due course of time, it is fulfilled by the Lord. That is the power of devotional service. That is the power of surrendering to the Lord. So, the message is that somehow or other, let us try to take shelter of the Supreme Lord by committing ourselves to chanting His holy names and to always remaining in the association of His devotees. If you stay in the association of devotees, you will be able to see practically in the lives of the devotees and in your own life how the Lord creates some magical things. How He makes arrangements, how some things happen which have no logic, they still happen. You will see. To some extent you would have already experienced it, but if you continue with spiritual life, you will see that spiritual life is a principle. अब भगवान को जितना surrender करते हैं, you will see how much the Lord reciprocates. And that is what we want. We want loving reciprocation. And that the Lord gives through His devotees and Himself also. He makes arrangements. So our job is just to surrender and pray to the Lord. Please make me an instrument of your will. Whatever you want, please let it happen through me. Please use me. Pray like this. Please give me the association of your devotees. And then you see that how, just like all these devotees whom we mentioned today and whom we keep hearing about, are recorded in history and their names are repeated. Our name will also be a part of that. Not that we should do it for fame, but this is what will happen invariably. The Lord sees to it. Because the Lord wants that His devotees are glorified. So this is a very special place and very special pastime. We are present, is as good as Jagannath Puri. How many of you have been to Jagannath Puri already? Oh, very few. But those who did not raise their hands, you are all wrong. Because you already visited Jagannath Puri today. So this is the Lord Jagannath who is from there. That is how we must have faith. Srila Prabhupada is so merciful that he created Jagannath Puri Dham in so many countries and cities around the world. So many. And every ISKCON temple there is Jagannath Ji. Every ISKCON temple is having Rath Yatra. What a devotee of Jagannath he was, that he was able to transport Jagannath to remote corners of the world. I saw one time even in China they are having nice Rath Yatra. What to speak of Pakistan? If you see in Pakistan, ISKCON is all the preaching, Hindu preaching, whatever is happening is all ISKCON only. So many places around the world, Rath Yatra is happening. It's all Srila Prabhupada. He started this when he went to America. The first Rath Yatra happened in San Francisco. When you heard about the story of how Lord Jagannath Ji arrived there in San Francisco. Just to make it short, Mother Malti, she went into the Indian store and she purchased small dolls of Jagannath, one small doll of Jagannath like this. And she brought it in front of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada offered full Dandavat Pranam in front of that. She thought this is just some toy she brought. And Prabhupada is offering obeisances. So Prabhupada said, this is Lord Jagannath, he is the Lord of the universe. Where did you find this? He said, in the store. So go and bring, if there are other also deities. So then she went and brought Baladev and Subhadra. Prabhupada told Malati Mataji's husband, Shyam Sundar Prabhu, carve these forms. He was a carpenter. So he carved these forms. But he was also, they were hippies that time. He was carving, and on top of Jagannath's head he was putting cigarette also. Smoking, and he's putting that there. And then he's taking puff and then again doing carving. It was going on. Prabhupada came to see the progress of how the carving of Jagannath is going on. He saw that this is going on. On Jagannath's head, cigarette is there. Prabhupada took his stick, aimed it, and he aimed it in such a way that the stick did, without touching Jagannath, touched the cigarette which went out of the window straight. Prabhupada said, he told Shyam Sundar Prabhu, don't let this cigarette come in between you and Jagannath. So they made these deities, and they were the deities in San Francisco. Prabhupada said Jagannath ji has come, so Rath Yatra also should be there. So they took a flatbed truck जिसके पीछे ऐसा होता है ना, तो नीचे होता है, so then it's flat. So then they put Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra on all three sides, and then they took it on top of the hill. And that was the first Rath Yatra. Prabhupada was very happy that Jagannath ji has arrived and Rath Yatra is happening. And then that was replicated. Prabhupada gave order to replicate Jagannath Rath Yatra in all the ISKCON temples. And that was just growing, a big way of preaching. In London, they did Rath Yatra first time, and it was so big that the canopy of the Rath, जो ऊपर का जो रहता है, that was higher than the Trafalgar Square. Trafalgar Square in London is a very famous and tall column. Nelson's column is there. Huge, very tall. वो उससे भी बड़ा था. So it looked as if something very grand. And Prabhupada was very proud. So Rath Yatra like this. And there was a very, very dear devotee and disciple of Prabhupada, Jagannath Prabhu, whom you saw here. They put a memorial here, they built a memorial because Jagannath Prabhu was very, very instrumental in bringing many, many devotees to ISKCON through Rath Yatra. Because of having these Rath Yatra processions in every city, especially in the US, in America, in those times. So what happened was that Jagannath Prabhu, he used to take full charge of making the Raths, engaging all the devotees, engaging new people, hippies. He used to engage all of them. And then many of them became devotees. Till now, many are very great devotees and great leaders in ISKCON. So that is why Jagannath Prabhu's memorial is there. Because his service towards Lord Jagannath is very special. And he left his body in 1976, before Prabhupada left. And Prabhupada said because of his service to Jagannath and because of the way Jagannath Prabhu was, he said he has gone back home, back to Godhead. And then he said that Jagannath Prabhu's photo should be put on every Rath Yatra cart and we should honor him in this way. So till now, wherever Rath Yatra happens, they put Jagannath Prabhu's photo there and then they take, so like that. Just see how modern day saints are also there. So we encourage you to become nice devotees of Lord Jagannath, to take association. Actually, our choice is only whether to remain in association of devotees or not. बाकी सब अपने आप हो जाता है. अपने आप तिलक लगवा देंगे, अपने आप बीड बैग आ जाता है, अपने आप धोती पहना देते हैं. All this automatically happens. You don't have to try to learn something. They will see to it that you will learn everything. You'll start eating prasadam, you'll start chanting all the prayers. Automatic, everything happens. Bhakti develops like this through Bhakta Sangha. So that is what we can make a choice of, a conscious choice. And that can be our prayer to Lord Jagannath. Śrī Jagannath Swami ki. Jai.